What's good, ghouls? Your boy Grim here, and today we're gonna talk about the future of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, or just Let's Go as the subsection franchise of Pokemon, and what I believe to be the future of it and future Pokemon games in general. Now, if you guys aren't aware, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee came out November 16th of 2018, and ever since then, it's kind of consumed my life. I'm not saying this to promote the game just because this is the content that I make and it makes sense to promote it. It's genuinely a good game. It's probably one of my favorite Pokemon games released to this day. And it's amazing to believe that there's potential for more of them in the future. If you guys haven't seen it on Twitter and just all different social media platforms, there have already been rumors and other just random posts being made suggesting the release of a Johto Let's Go game that takes place in Johto. And personally, I think it'd be fantastic. Johto is my favorite region of Pokemon, hands down. I would play the crap out of that game, and to be able to find those Gen 2 shinies would be amazing, hands down. But there are some things that need to be changed. Now, the game is great. The game is good. The game is more than anybody could have ever asked for in a second remake of a game that we've already seen 6 times. Let me just say that. This is our 5th or 6th time revisiting Kanto. We hit it up in Red and Blue, in original Kanto. Then we hit it up in Gen 2 when we were able to travel back. Then we hit it up in Generation 3 when we had our remakes. Hit it up in Generation 4 when we had our Gen 2 remakes and visited Kanto, and now we're visiting it again for the 5th time. There may be one more time in there that I'm forgetting, but it's at least 5. We've at least visited Kanto 5 times, and every time it's been different. So it's a good thing, but it's a good thing, only good if there's not too much. I think this whole Let's Go kind of iteration is a really good sub-franchise of Pokemon, to where it's a safe reenactment of a game that's already been remade. So like, we've already had a remake of Red and Blue. We've had it in Fire Red and Leaf Green, and now we have a different kind of remake in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. So I feel like it's good that they're making these remakes, but potentially going too far could not be a great thing. But right now, it's phenomenal. The way that this should change future games is that they shouldn't go back to the way they were before. I am tired of not having Pokemon follow me. I literally have no interest in playing the 3DS platform games, anything. I am solely focused on Let's Go, because the game has just blown my mind. The Pokemon follow you behind you. There's overworld stuff. There's different... and I love the fact, I know this is like a controversial topic when it comes to Pokemon Let's Go, but I love the fact that there are no wild battles. I love it. I love the fact that I can make it through Rock Tunnel in 15 minutes or less. Actually, if I'm remembering correctly, we made through Rock Tunnel in like 6 minutes, 6 or 7 minutes, in one of our Let's Play videos here on the channel. So the fact that I can get through there, not even needing to use Flash in like 7 minutes, is incredible, because I'm a guy that doesn't like to constantly have battle after battle every 3 steps that I take. So I really think that they should keep that in future games. I feel like that'd be great if they did have random battles, or wild battles, I should say, and not just have a catching feature. I think that would be okay, because you would still be able to pick and choose what Pokemon you battle. But I'm honestly fine with this catching mechanic. The fact that I don't have to battle the wild Pokemon and we just try to catch them, it raises the fun of catching of shinies, because it's always full health. There's a chance that it runs, like all this stuff. I feel like if they implemented a battle sequence, that they should remove the fleeing tactic that they have. But either way, as long as it's not a quote-unquote random wild battle, I'm totally cool with that. Another thing that they need to change for future games is they need to get an engine to make this game that won't lag. It's ridiculous. This game is fantastic, and I love it, and it's tremendous, but it lags. Why does it lag? And I don't even necessarily just mean in hand mode, or in handheld mode. In handheld mode, it's terrible. It is terrible in handheld mode. It lags regardless of what you're doing. But in docking mode, when it's docked, when it is docked and I am streaming this game, and I have Pokemon that are following me and maybe the co-op player, if I'm using that tactic for catching Pokemon, the game lags like crazy. You play a game like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild that has graphics that are like 15 times more intense than Pokemon Let's Go, never have any lag, even in handheld mode. Why? They did such a bad job choosing what engine they were making this game on. I don't know what made them think this. I don't know if it was a problem with them trying to convert the Pokemon onto the Switch, like they just had to do it this way. But for future reference, if Nintendo, Game Freak, if you're watching this, which you probably aren't, but if you're watching this, please, for the love of everything that is holy and is good with Pokemon, use a better engine. Just do it. You don't need to change the way things look. You don't need to change anything about it except for that stupid lag. It makes it so unappealing to play for hours on end. I stream 5+ hours a day, so constantly staring at a game that lags for no reason is dumb. I'm sorry. It's stupid. It needs to be changed. Okay? Please. Just change it. When it comes to the game itself and the future of Pokemon, like I said, it'd be interesting to see what they do with future games. They definitely need to keep they need to keep the wild battles down to you choose which one it is, whether it's just the catching mechanic or it's actually a battle mechanic. They also need to keep Pokemon following you. I'm sorry if Pokemon don't follow you after this game, regardless of whether it's a Let's Go game, a remake, or a main series, new generation. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be ridiculously upset. It's on the Switch now. There's no reason why Pokemon shouldn't be following you. There is no reason, and there's no reason why the game should be lagging when Pokemon follow you. If you're going to make it a thing in a game, make it so it works. Please. I'm begging you. When it comes to like releasing these Let's Go Johto games or Let's Go Kanto, Let's Go, just the Let's Go franchise in general, I feel like it's good for the game. Okay, so there was a lot of talk when the game was released that Game Freak had problems, or it was more difficult than they anticipated to make Pokemon on the Switch. It was more challenging than they thought, but they got one down. They got almost everything right. So being able to make these make more of these for the Switch or for future generation consoles should not be that different. It is now off of handheld and onto a console. It's great. We've been waiting for this for years, having a main game on the console that isn't like one of those Battle Revolution games. Like those games are fun, don't get me wrong, but it ain't no core series, main series game. It isn't. It isn't. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. I know people are like, XD Gale of Darkness is the greatest game in the world. Is it really now? Is it really? Is it really? We have an actual Pokemon game on the console that isn't necessarily just like a Coliseum-esque game. Is it really the best game now? I don't know. I don't know. But when it comes to future releases of these games, it's actually very beneficial to the company, because when you think about it this way, every time they release a Let's Go game or they release a new game, they're making sprites for those games that they can just port over. If you guys don't know, they actually just took sprites, or at least from what I've heard and from what I've seen, they've taken sprites from Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon and put them in to Let's Go, with a minor tweaking here and there. But if you guys go into the data of Sun and Moon, those sprites, they're done in 1080p. That's how we've had those sprites for such a long time, is that's their root size. They made them in 1080p 60. So you could potentially and theoretically just port them over. There are little subtle differences, like the way they did their cell shading and stuff like that. But for the most part, you can just take it and move it over. With minor tweaks here and there, sprites aren't an issue. Making the overworld should not be that difficult either, because we've had many renditions of Johto already. So we already know what it'll look like. We just need to have it in the new graphic style. So what I'm saying is it's a good buffer. It's a good in-between game. I know that for a lot of people, this wasn't the best game ever released by Nintendo. For me, it's top 3, if not top 2, if not my favorite. The only reason I'm saying top 3 is because I'm a nostalgia boy, and Crystal hits me deep, and Heart Gold and Soul Silver hit me almost as deep because they're the remakes of my favorite game. So it's like those are the top 3. But this would be a good buffer year. So what I'm thinking from now on, what they could do potentially is they release a whatever the new generation is, they release a new generation. The next year, they have a remake of a generation. Following year, they have a Let's Go remake iteration. And then the year after that, they do another generation. So like, in this case, it'll be Gen 8, then we get our Gen 4 remakes, then we get our Gen 2 second remake, then we get Gen 9, Gen 5 remakes, Gen 3 second remake, and it continues this cycle. And hopefully once we either run out of generations, if Pokemon decides to stop, then they can keep reiterating them in some way or fashion. But I feel like that's a good thing for the company. Because this game wasn't... Okay, in theory, this game should not have been that hard to make. You went from 800 Pokemon down to only having 150 accessible. That already takes... what is that, 7/8 of the Pokemon away? That saves a lot of time right there. And, you know, you're just basically just making overworlds and character encounters and stuff like that. So like, I'm not downplaying how difficult it was to make this game. Like they said, they had problems when they were making this, but it definitely couldn't have been the most difficult game they've ever made. It couldn't have been. It can't be. And now that they have their kind of structure built, they just need to put it on a bigger engine, a better engine, so that it doesn't lag. I can't describe how much it bothers me that it lags. I know I've talked about it quite extensively in this video, but I haven't even shown you guys like how upset I am that it lags. Like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Handheld, maybe. Handheld maybe, because the way they had to make this is they had to scale it differently for handheld and docking mode. Docking mode does it in 1080p 60, and whatever the handheld mode is, they had to scale these games at different sizes. So I can understand handheld. If you made it for the larger screen, if you made it for docking, and then had to compress everything for handheld, I understand why it lags in handheld, and that's totally fine. It's still really unappealing, but at least it makes sense. If I have it docked in my Switch and it's playing on my 55-inch TV at 1080p 60, probably not even 1080p 60, 1080p, we'll just go there, 1080p, not even 60. There is no reason why it should be lagging. I'm sorry, there really isn't. There is no excuse for a franchise like Game Freak and Nintendo to release a Pokemon game that lags. Pokemon games were different if they lagged back in the day, because the only time that it did, it was online. And of course games are gonna have lag time online, because not everybody has the same connection and not everybody has a good connection. So that makes sense. But if I'm just roaming through Celadon, going to buy items, why do I have these freeze frame actions while I'm walking? I'm sorry, I'm just turning this into a tangent. This game was great. As much as I'm saying how many things I didn't really like about it, but like, this game is great. The shiny hunting mechanic is really clean. I really enjoy this kind of franchise. I feel like I said before, this could be really, really good for the future of Pokemon when it comes to milking the system. Because you guys know, they're a corporation, they love to make money, and honestly, me being the guy that I am and being like 100% nostalgia boy, I'm totally okay with them milking the system and getting more money if I can play more games. Pokemon has been a key influence in my life for longer than I can remember. I literally don't remember a time where I wasn't playing Pokemon like every day. I feel like, well, I'm pretty sure I got my first game when I was like 7 or something like that. So, you know, like 14 years, 15 years almost. Like, it's been a long journey, dog. And I may have started when I was 7, but I immediately went back, played all the old games, waited for all the new ones to come out. I buy every copy. I'm not one of those people that just, oh, well, Ruby and Sapphire. I'm just going to get Sapphire. Who needs Ruby? No, I'm getting Ruby. I'm getting Sapphire. I'm getting the stupid pinball game. I'm getting the limited edition systems. I'm getting, you know, Emerald when it drops, all that kind of stuff. I love the franchise. So I'm okay with them milking the system and releasing more games that I can revisit. I started in Hoenn. I can't wait for Let's Go Hoenn. You know, that's gonna be sick. Johto's my favorite generation. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for them to release the Generation 4 Let's Go mechanic, or just their Gen 4 remakes in general, because I would love to play that game without it being slow as balls. That game, the game's mechanics is just so slow. But I've ranted, I've rambled, and I've made my point. I don't know. I thought this was a pretty interesting video to make, just to kind of speculate about things. If you guys are interested in more of these kind of where we just sit down and talk about things, videos, then leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe if you're new. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm really going to try to plug our socials more often throughout this year because I want to see them grow, as well as YouTube, Twitch, so on and so forth. Speaking of Twitch, like I mentioned earlier in the video today, we stream 5 hours a day over there, if not plus some. At the time of recording this, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be doing a 10-hour stream tomorrow. So I don't know when you guys are going to get this video, but there will be a 10-hour stream most likely happening on January 9th, 2019. So if you guys are interested in hanging out in future streams, be sure to follow us over on Twitch as well. Links to all of our socials will be in the description. So until next time, I'm going to get about. Remember, if you guys enjoyed these kind of videos, leave a comment, like the video, subscribe if you're new. But I'm going to get up out. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace!